Evelyn Adams won the New Jersey lottery twice, 5.4 million between two tickets, more money than most people will see across 3 lifetimes combined. 16 years later, she was living in a trailer, and every dollar was gone to relatives, gone to gambling machines, gone chasing the exact feeling the money was supposed to deliver in the first place. She didn't lose the money by accident. She lost it because winning never actually worked. Right now, as you sit there watching this, some part of your brain is quietly convinced that a bigger paycheck, a nicer apartment, or one more zero at the end of your salary would finally make you feel secure, settled, rich. That belief is not a personal flaw, it's a design feature installed in you before you were old enough to want anything at all. And it is currently running in the background of every financial decision you make. Here's the mechanism. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, but strip away the jargon and picture this. Instead, your happiness is a treadmill, and every time you earn more, the belt just speeds up to match you. You're not walking toward a destination, you're sprinting in place, and the machine is engineered to make sure you never notice. The proof came in 1978 when researchers Philip Brickman, Dan Coates, and Ronnie Janoff Bullman tracked down two groups of people who should have had nothing in common: big money lottery winners and people who had recently become paralyzed in accidents. A year later, both groups reported almost identical levels of day-to-day happiness. The lottery winners weren't floating on air. The accident victims weren't drowning in despair. Both had quietly adapted back to their baseline, because baseline is where your brain always drags you back to. Why would evolution build something so cruel? Because contentment was never the goal. Your ancestors who felt permanently satisfied stopped hunting, stopped building, stopped competing for the next resource, and got outcompeted by the ones who never felt like they had enough. That restless, unsatisfied hum you feel isn't a bug in your psychology. It's the exact trait that kept your bloodline alive for 200,000 years. And it has no idea it's currently pointed at a bank account instead of a mammoth carcass. So you chase the raise, you get it. For about 6 weeks, life feels different, sharper, better earned. Then the new number becomes the new normal, invisible, and the itch comes back exactly where it was before, just wearing a bigger price tag. Evelyn Adams didn't spend her way to happiness. She spent trying to outrun a treadmill that was built to never let her win. Wait, it gets worse. Because the treadmill isn't the only thing working against you. There's a second mechanism sitting right next to it, and it doesn't care how much money is in your account at all. It only cares about the person standing next to you. In 1998, a team of researchers asked a simple question that should have had an obvious answer. Given a choice, would you rather earn $50,000 a year while everyone around you earns $25,000, or earn $100,000 a year while everyone around you earns $200,000? Objectively, the second option buys twice the house, twice the vacations, twice the security. Most people chose the first. They chose to be poor in absolute terms, just to be richer than their neighbor. This is the second engine running underneath your financial life, and it's arguably crueler than the treadmill. Economists call it positional comparison. Your brain doesn't measure wealth in dollars. It measures wealth in rank. Picture two coworkers, identical stickmen in identical gray cubicles. One gets a raise to 70,000. He feels fantastic for exactly as long as it takes him to learn. The guy in the next cubicle just got bumped to 85,000. The raise doesn't disappear from his bank account, but it evaporates from his sense of self-worth instantly, because his brain was never tracking the number. It was tracking the gap. This is why a surgeon earning 300,000 a year can feel financially anxious, while a teacher earning a 60,000 can feel completely at peace. If the surgeon is surrounded by colleagues clearing 7 figures and the teacher is surrounded by neighbors making less than she does, right now scrolling through a phone full of curated vacation photos and a new car announcements, your brain is running this exact comparison engine on a loop, and it is quietly recalibrating what enough even means without asking your permission. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky spent the 1970s dismantling the idea that humans evaluate outcomes in isolation. Their prospect theory proved something unsettling. You don't experience wealth. You experience the difference between wealth and a reference point. And that reference point is not your past self. It's whoever you're currently standing next to. Here's the trap ceiling shut. Your reference point isn't fixed. It moves every single time you get close to it. Earn what your rich friend earns, and your rich friend becomes your new baseline. Move to a wealthier neighborhood, and the neighborhood recalibrates what normal spending looks like. New car, renovated kitchen, private school, until yesterday's luxury is today's obligation. You are not chasing a number, you are chasing a horizon line that retreats exactly as fast as you approach it, redrawn every time someone near you moves. Wait, it gets worse. Because so far, this has all been your own brain doing this to you. A design flaw, ancient and unintentional. But there are people who have studied this exact mechanism, mapped it in laboratories, and built entire industries whose sole purpose is to make sure that horizon line never, ever stops moving. In 1913, a psychologist named John B. Watson stood in front of an advertising conference and told the room something that would reshape the next 100 years of consumer behavior. Stop selling products, start manufacturing emotions. Sell fear, sell inadequacy, sell status, and the product will sell itself. They listened. They're still listening. Picture a kindergarten classroom, 30 stickman kids, one single shiny red ball. The moment one kid picks it up, it stops being a ball. It becomes the only thing in the room worth wanting. Every other kid who was perfectly happy 2 minutes ago is now staring at that ball like their entire childhood depends on it. Nobody needed the ball. They needed to not be the kid without it. That's the entire advertising industry scaled up and pointed directly at your adult bank account. Marketers don't create your desires from nothing. That would be inefficient. Instead, they hijack the exact comparison engine from the last chapter and feed it a constant stream of new reference points, engineered, curated, and timed for maximum damage. A watch isn't a watch anymore. It's proof you're not falling behind. A kitchen renovation isn't a renovation. It's a public statement that you're keeping pace with people you've never met. Right now, the feed you scroll through in idle moments isn't neutral. It's a carefully sorted highlight reel of other people's best financial moments. The new car, the upgraded apartment, the vacation photo stitched together into a reference point no honest life could ever match, because you're comparing your unedited Tuesday to everyone else's curated highlight. Here's the absurd twist: economists don't like to say out loud earning more money can make you feel poorer. Richard Taylor, the behavioral economist who spent his career proving humans don't behave like the rational calculators classical economics assumed, showed that income and satisfaction split apart the moment your spending becomes visible to others. Get a raise, move into a nicer neighborhood, and suddenly you're the lowest earner on a wealthier street, surrounded by a new set of reference points specifically calibrated to make you feel behind again. The raise didn't fail. The comparison engine simply found a more expensive room to put you in. Companies know this. Luxury brands don't advertise features. They advertise exclusion, the quiet threat that everyone else already has what you're missing. Credit companies don't sell debt. They sell the ability to keep pace with a lifestyle your actual income can't support, betting correctly that your fear of falling behind will outweigh your fear of the interest rate. You were never just buying a product. You were paying to temporarily quiet a comparison engine that corporations have every financial incentive to keep turned up as loud as possible. Wait, it gets worse. Because if the treadmill never lets you rest, and the comparison engine never lets you win, and the entire economy is quietly designed to profit from both, then the question stops being how much money would finally be enough. The real question is whether enough was ever a place you could actually arrive. In 2006, researchers tracked down people who had won large lotteries decades earlier and compared them to people who had suffered catastrophic financial losses in the same era. The finding echoed 1978 almost exactly, but this time with a darker footnote. A significant number of big winners reported something close to regret. Not for winning. For what winning failed to deliver. They expected an arrival. They got a new starting line. This is the reality check nobody puts on a billboard. Researchers Daniel Kahneman and Angus Dayton found that emotional well-being rises with income only up to a point, roughly enough to cover a comfortable, secure life. and then flattens almost completely. Past that point, more money buys more stuff, more status, more comparison points to lose sleep over. It does not buy the feeling you were actually chasing. Executives making 8 figures report the same daily anxiety as employees making 80,000. Self-made millionaires still check their portfolios at 2 a.m. Old money still feels poor next to older money. The treadmill doesn't stop at any income bracket. It just gets more expensive to stand on. Here's the part your brain doesn't want you to know. Or enough was never a number. It was a moving target stitched together from your evolutionary wiring, your neighbor's new car, and a $1 trillion advertising industry that profits every single day you fail to reach it. There is no finish line hiding at the next salary tier. There's just a slightly faster treadmill in a slightly nicer room next to slightly richer people. Milton Friedman once observed that people don't compare their situation to the past. They compare it to what they believe they deserve. A target that inflates the instant it's approached. That's not a character flaw. That's the machine working exactly as designed. So think about Evelyn Adams again. 2 lottery wins, 5.4 million. And within 16 years, broke. Not because she was reckless, but because she was human, running the exact same 3 mechanisms currently running in you right now. A treadmill that resets on arrival, a comparison engine borrowing its targets from strangers, and an economy built to profit from the gap between the two. You are not one raise away from feeling rich. You were never going to be. Right now, whatever number sits in your head as the amount that would finally be enough, you already know somewhere underneath the hope that the moment you reached it, the number would simply move again.